back a little too late. Well, you went away, babe, came back a little too late. I got a hip shaker, mama, shake like that on a plate. Well, shake it, babe. Shake, shake, shake for me.
Hi, this is Dave Specter, and as part of the Space Artist Interview Series, this afternoon we're really happy to welcome Mark Hummel, Anson Funderburgh, and little Charlie Baty to Space, playing here with your Golden State Lone Star Review, three of the finest contemporary bluesmen around. Welcome, Mark.
Thank you, Dave.
Anson, I know you've been here before, but welcome back. Charlie, great to have you here. Two of my favorite guitar players and one of my favorite harp players, and what a great concept to bring these guys together. How did the Golden State Lone Star Review come into being?
It was kind of just an evolution in a way. I mean, what originally kind of got me going with it was that my bass player R.W. Grigsby and Wes Starr started playing together in high school. And so R.W.'s been with me about 7-8 years, and he had said maybe 3-4 years ago, you know, Wes would love to do some gigs with us. So it kind of started really with the three of us teaming up with Mike Morgan, and we did a couple different runs, one in Texas and one in around the Midwest in Canada, and then when I started playing with Charlie, I think I mentioned it to you that this was something I was interested in doing, and then after you seemed to be good with it, I talked to Anson. And
you recommended me, didn't you?
Well, I want to ask you each individual questions about your careers, which span decades. Let's start with Mark. I was looking at your website and saw some great archival photos, including pictures of you playing with Lowell Folsom, Brownie McGee, Luther Tucker, and you, of course, are most famous for your band, the Blues Survivors, and that kind of, you're a real road warrior, Mark. Talk about those early days back in the 70s in California where you grew up.
Well, yeah, I moved up to the Bay Area in about 73, 74, something like that. And there was something about the Bay Area that seemed a lot, I'm from Los Angeles originally, it just seemed like the Bay Area was a more lively place for blues. There was more of a scene going on, I think, because of Bill Graham. I mean, Charlie can verify this because I know he grew up there, so there was just a lot of interest, I think, because of the hippies or something in the blues.
I mean, people like Albert King.
Yeah, I mean, well, Bill Graham was bringing in all these people like Muddy and Albert King and BB and all the people that Butterfield's band basically recommended to Bill Graham. And so there was all this interest in blues. I mean, I just went up and visited when I was probably, I don't know, a teenager, like 17 or something, and I'd be playing the harmonica. Instead of people asking me about Jay Giles' band or War, like they would in Los Angeles, they'd go, hey, you know any James Cotton or Muddy Waters? So it was like that really impressed me that people were hip to, some blues names.
So Anson, I know you were here not too long ago with Eric Lindell.
I was.
And I'm a huge fan of your recordings with Sam Myers, who did so many great records and so much touring with Sam. That was such a wonderful combination.
20 years, I think.
Yeah. Sam Myers was an amazing singer and harmonica player from Mississippi.
He was from Mississippi. He was born in Laurel, Mississippi. But stayed around the Jackson area, I guess, most of his life.
And tell me about your coming up on the Texas blues scene. It's something that's always fascinated me. And I wanted to ask you, because I know you grew up, you were born in Plano? Or?
I was born in McKinney and raised in
Plano.
Man, most of my music background came from listening to records and stuff. I'm kind of a country boy, and really just didn't get to town much, so to speak. So I mean, I learned a lot of stuff from listening to records and that kind of stuff. And then once I got to be 15, 16 years old, I started playing in bands, and there was a dance called the Push that kind of originated around, it's called the North Texas Push. and it's kind of a version of the combination of the jitterbug and the Lindy Hop, and these people dance to it, and they dance to all these blues songs. They dance to Honky Tonk and Hideaway and Hold It and Kansas City, and so I mean I kind of grew up playing it and watching these people dance.
Yeah.
So.
Any more obscure Texas players or blues guitar players in general that
I played with Lightning a couple of times.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was quite a trip.
He had a reputation for being rather mean.
He was pretty mean at that
Yeah.
time.
I love your whiskey story.
Yeah, man, he was.
Talking about Lightning Hopkins.
Yeah, he was. I'll never forget. He said, somebody came in on one of those shows and said, "It's about time to go back and start the second set, Lightning." And he goes, "Give me 9 minutes." I never could figure out. I guess he figured the first minute was already gone. I don't know.
So Charlie, you were with the Nightcats for 20 years?
No, longer than that.
Longer than that.
32.
Wow.
Yeah.
And about 9 or 10 albums for Alligator?
10 records, counting one that was a compilation, and we'd made 3 records with John Hammond, backing him up, and all sorts of different things. But I started the band in December of '75,
Okay.
and it was actually as a tribute to Little Walter. And I had this goal that on May 1st of 1976, I wanted to do an evening of Little Walter's music and only play Little Walter songs on his birthday. So that was my goal, and then but after a while, I got to know Rick, and Rick needed to leave San Francisco, and he asked if he could come up and join our band, and so I at first I played harmonica, and I started playing a little guitar, and I basically learned how to play guitar in the band, you know. And then at one point, I just switched to full-time guitar instead of, we almost had a review where I'd do a set on harmonica and Rick would do a set, that kind of thing. And so until I decided to retire in 2008, we had the thing going.
Just needed to take a break from the road.
It was a lot of things. I mean, I felt like the scene was deteriorating. I didn't think it would support our model of, driving around in 2 vans, touring, because a lot of the weeknight gigs were going away.
Yeah.
But I was tired, and I was also getting interested in other kinds of music, like gypsy jazz and jazz in general. And I took a break, and then all of a sudden I realized I missed the camaraderie of the blues scene. I mean, the guys in the gypsy jazz scene, they're nice and everything, but everybody else, the blues scene, these guys is family, and then when you don't see them, all of a sudden you feel sort of like an orphan.
Yeah. Charlie, I know one thing guitar fans would like to know, like myself, is do you have any plans anytime in the near future to do a solo record?
Well, I've had those plans, but it seems like every time I think it's going to happen, something goes wrong with it. And I recorded a record in 2009 in France with a couple of the Nightcats and with Chris Siebert, really good pianist from San Francisco, and Sax Gordon. And it's an instrumental record that's about half blues and half jazz, swing kind of jazz, And it's a great sounding record. The whole thing is done, and it just never got issued. And I'm not sure why. I think this is a money problem maybe. But in the meantime, I continue to play that kind of music, and so maybe the next thing I do, my new project is called Organ Grinder Swing.
All right.
That I do when I'm not working with Mark, and at some point maybe we can put a record on.
Anson, any new recordings or planned?
I've got this new thing out with Big Joe Mayer called Four Jacks.
Great
It's got Kevin
record.
McKendry.
Great record.
It's got a great vibe to it. It's really cool. And I've made a little EP with Eric Lindell, and it's country songs, which is our take on country songs.
Speaking of records, I wanted to ask all of you guys of what you thought about the state of the record business today, specifically the blues business. I know you guys are in the studio, in fact, tomorrow doing a new album. Could you tell us about that?
Well, I mean, essentially I'm just going in and doing a Mark Hummel record with Little Charlie and Anson. I already did a session with some other guys in California, Kid Anderson and June Core and some different guys. But, I wanted to record this project. And instead of doing a Golden State Lone Star Review record right out the chute.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it would be cool to, you know,
Mm-hmm.
just get everyone in the studio and do. I'd been wanting to record, do something with Wes a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like at least 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that everybody's in this project is
Right.
really cool.
And are you finding that your audience is still want to buy CDs?
Yeah, I mean, live gigs. I mean, that's been my sole way of,
Yeah.
you know, selling records
Mhm.
is live
Yeah.
shows.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been a guy. You go to the record store and you look under Mark Hummel, you'll be lucky to find one of those little,
Yeah.
you know.
One of the things I like to ask, blues musicians, especially guys who've been around as long as you guys have, is, are you hearing anybody say in their 20s or any younger cats who are opening up your ears and who you kind of feel like, well, they're doing it right?
There's a few. I mean, one of the things I've noticed, and I'm sure these guys would feel the same way, is that most of the younger guys nowadays, they don't listen as much to the really old guys that we all listen to. They kind of tend to listen to guys in our age bracket,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So they listen to, you know, anywhere from Stevie Ray to Jimmy Vaughan to, you know, to Charlie and Anson. But
Right.
it's not as much, they tend not to go to the direct sources that all of us did.
I see.
And I think part of it is just our age. We're kind of the last generation to really be able to play with a lot of the old guys
Mhm.
and go see the old
Yeah.
guys, just to go see them,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
These guys can't do that.
One last question, and I see it as a challenge for the future of the blues, is how do you guys, and how does the genre appeal to, how can it appeal more to a younger audience? I mean, I've been involved with this club for 5 years, and I've been playing for almost 30, and I rarely see an audience under 30. You know, guys like Bobby, who's filming this interview, and our interns, we have a revolving seasonal internship here where we have, you know, 18 to 20, 23-year-olds working for us. And whenever they hear blues, they love it.
Exactly.
And they're like, wow, this blew me away. Yet, they don't seem to be buying blues records or going to blues shows very much.
Well,
I don't think anybody buys records anymore. I mean, there's the, you know, record stores are gone. People
Right.
download things. You know, packaging of records. I mean, in our day, you went, you looked at it, you actually had something that was
physical,
this big,
yeah.
a piece of something that
Mhm.
you could look at. You could see the players. You could turn it over on the back. I mean, the whole thing was something to do. You
Yeah.
know, something to collect, something to actually have. Where
Right.
I don't know. In this day and time, it's all on your computer or something, and it's
Right.
this big. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think.
But on the other hand, you could go on YouTube and watch clips of Lightning
You could,
Hopkins
you
and
can.
Brownie McGee and Mark Hummel and Louis Charlie and Anson.
Which may be the reason why you don't see. We used to have to go to clubs to hear
Right,
music.
right.
Yeah.
That's
Now
true.
somebody can sit in front of a computer and
Yeah.
and they can punch up Muddy
Yeah.
Waters and here it is.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know.
I think that at some point we have to realize what a treasure we have in terms of blues and jazz and American music, and start talking about it in schools. I mean, have a music appreciation on a level that, you know, that gets kids involved in it
Mhm.
when they're 6, 7, 8 years old,
Yeah.
listening to it, learning how to play it, having people come in and play for them. And then if they saw that up close and got a sense of the rhythm and what it was all about,
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it was a great thing to see blues guys on postage stamps. You know, it's a great thing to hear blues songs and commercials and stuff like that. But you know, the people really understand the personalities and the history of it. Maybe even tie it in with historical, you know, fiction in terms of showing how music fits into our history. You know, what was blues like in World War II? What was it like in the era of the segregation coming out of the 50s and stuff like that?
Yeah.
You know, and maybe people would then appreciate it more.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much.
Thank
Great
you,
having you
Dave.
here. Look forward to your show. All right.